Some motorists in central Canada are looking at increases in gas prices over the next few days. For our regular cross-country checkup on gasoline prices, we're joined from Burlington, Ontario by Roger McKnight, Chief Petroleum Analyst with Enpro International. Roger, it's always great to talk to you.
Great to be here.
So we are looking in the next few days at an increase, for example, in Ontario?
Yes, we are. Tomorrow you're seeing in Southern Ontario a jump of 2 cents to $1.09. The rest of the country, it's kind of weird because it's a pretty good illustration of how resilient the refining industry is in the U.S. to drops or changes in demand. Mm-hmm. Gasoline demand was only up marginally than this last week, and the demand for distillates dropped precipitously. So with those drops in demand, the refinery said, well, we're not going to make too much anymore. So what you're going to see is a little bit of a stabilization of prices in eastern and Canada and in Vancouver area. The refinery runs in the east dropped like 6% last week and down 3% in the west coast. So they're just playing around with their numbers to balance out the demand, which seems to me a bit strange. You have a very warm early winter, if you like, right now in the east, which has dropped diesel demand amazingly so. And diesel prices really determine what gasoline prices do. So we'll see what's going to happen.
So we're looking at a small increase, for example, in Southern Ontario, but pretty stable overall. Pretty stable,
yeah. This is it's a bit of shadow boxing going on right now, but I don't think there's anything really to be concerned about. What you may see, in fact, in coming weeks, with crude down at $36 a barrel, the oil companies with an upstream and a downstream may say our upstream is really hurting, so we're going to revert back to the old downstream side, which is refining and marketing and prices at the pump. So people will be scratching their heads pretty soon saying, well, if crude's going down, how come the price of gasoline isn't going down? And that's the reason. They have to make it up.
And we're still paying a lot more than the Americans.
Yeah, well, they have a much lower tax structure because they have a higher population base, and of course we pay for everything in U.S. dollars, and the loonie is doing its best imitation of a dying quail. So there you go.
What about for the rest of the year, Roger? Are we looking at gas prices staying stable? I mean, motors must be getting a bit mad now. We're not seeing a bigger drop.
Well, I'm not getting too many complaints from that side. I think a lot of people. I'm actually quite surprised without seeing an increase in demand with pump prices so low because. We're just not seeing it, so it sounds to me a lot of people are doing online shopping rather than driving to the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, say in Toronto we got oil prices about $1, not much more.
Yeah.
It's not that long since they were $1.30 or more.
Yeah, well, the price of crude has been plummeting, and that's what's happening. For every dollar a barrel you see a movement in crude, it works out to about 0.6 cents, or rounded up to a cent a liter. So it's following crude right now, and I think the oil producers in Western Canada must be really starting to drum their fingers on a pretty hollow drum.
Roger, always great talking to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Okay, Andrew.
Roger McKnight of Enpro International.